Hi, hello to everyone. In this lecture, we are going to talk about a very interesting and very important topic for your NIO syllabus, which is trigonometry. So, what is this trigonometry stands for? How and why this branch is introduced in the mathematics, and what we are going to see in this? Let's look into this first. So if we go with the word trigonometry, so what does it mean? If we broadly divide this word, then we all will notice that it is comprised, or it is consist of two major words. One is tri and other stands for geometry. So something related to three sides. So whenever it comes to three sides, the only shape comes into our mind related to the mathematics. We call it as triangle. So whenever we'll say that, so little bit idea you all must be getting here, that if we are having a triangle, so something related to the triangle, any closed shape which is formed by using the three sides, we call it as triangle. So on the basis of its sides and on the basis of its angle, we do classify the various types of the triangle. Okay. And geometry, we all know that whenever we are talking about the shapes, the angles, their geometry, their measurement, so that we call it as trigonometry. So if we combine these two words together, then we all will notice that trigonometry somewhere is going to be related, a basic idea. It is going to be somewhere related to the triangle and its measurements, or its some kind of its geometry, right? So in mathematics, or the branch of the mathematics which is going to deal, or which is going to establish a relationship between the acute angle of the right triangle. Specifically here we have to notify that this branch is going to deal only specifically with respect to the right angle triangle. So if we take a specific right angle triangle and we are going to establish the relationship between its acute angle, then this branch we will call it as trigonometry. Now, what is a right triangle? The basic idea for the right triangle is just that we all know that any triangle which is having one of the angle as 90-degree, then we call such a triangle as right triangle. So here, as in the figure, it is shown that triangle ABC is a right triangle. So here BC is base and AB is perpendicular and AC is hypotenuse. So very famous theorem, we all know, we all have heard about this. This is Pythagoras theorem, which establishes a relationship between the all the three sides of this right triangle, which says that hypotenuse square is equals to base square plus perpendicular square. So here from the figure side, we can say that AC square is equals to BC square plus AB square. Now, there are two basic considerations that we should notice before we proceed towards the main trigonometry section, which is this: as in the triangle, if one angle is 90, then there are two possible acute angle. For the in order to make a difference, I have taken two triangles. One is triangle ABC. So for here you can notice that angle C is I have considered as theta, and for triangle PQR, I have considered angle P as my theta. Okay. So as in the basic introduction of this chapter, I mentioned it that trigonometry is going to establish a relationship between the acute angle of the triangle with respect to its sides only. So if I consider this triangle ABC, and for this diagram I am considering C as my acute angle, or I'm taking theta. So what we all have to notice, that the side on which we are considering this acute angle, we call it as base, and the longest side of the triangle we'll call it as hypotenuse, and the left hand side we'll consider as perpendicular. So if we are going to take the ratio of the perpendicular to the hypotenuse, then this relationship we'll call it as sine theta with respect to angle C. Now similarly, if we talk about cos theta, so if I'm going to establish a relationship between the base and the hypotenuse, we will call it as cos theta. Now, if we are having a relationship between the base and the perpendicular, that is perpendicular to base, we call it as tan theta. For the shape, we will call it as AB upon BC. Now, for the shape or for the diagram ABC, we will say that if we are taking the reciprocal, if instead of taking perpendicular to base, if I'm taking base to perpendicular, then such a ratio we'll call it as cot theta, and hypotenuse to base I will call it as sec theta, and hypotenuse to perpendicular I will call it as cosec theta. Okay, so here we all have you all must have noticed that I have considered this side as my base. Now what if I am going to consider this one angle A? Now instead of considering angle C, what if I do take uh, angle, I have to establish the various trigonometric ratio with respect to this angle A. Then what do we call it? We can call it as similar thing. So we can say that sine theta. Sine theta will be the relationship between perpendicular to the hypotenuse. This we have seen before. So now for the shape, for this diagram, this will be our base and this will be our perpendicular and this will be hypotenuse. So for the shape, we'll call it as BC over AC. So this is a point where we all should have to put a little attention that whatever angle we are considering, according to that angle, the value of the base and the perpendicular is going to change. Base upon hypotenuse. So this is going to be AB over AC. Now similarly, if I talk about tan theta, which is a relationship between perpendicular to the base, so I will call it as BC over AB. Now cot theta, perpendicular to base, base to perpendicular, AB over AC, AB over BC. Now sec theta, I will call it as perpendicular, hypotenuse to base, which is AB over AC. Now cosec theta, this is going to be hypotenuse upon, this is base, hypotenuse upon perpendicular. So for this particular angle A, with respect to angle A, we'll call it as AC over BC. Okay, so this is a variation that we all know, but the basic formula that we should always emphasize, that if we want to consider a relationship for the sine, then that should be the ratio of the perpendicular to the hypotenuse for a right triangle. For cos, it is a ratio for the base to hypotenuse. If we call it about tan theta, then it is the ratio of the perpendicular and the base of the given right angle triangle. If we talk about the cot theta, then it is a relationship between the base and the perpendicular of that given right triangle. Similarly, sec theta is a relationship for the ratios of the hypotenuse and the base of the given right angle, and cosec theta is a relationship between the hypotenuse and the perpendicular for this perpendicular for any of the given right angle triangle we are going to consider. I hope the basic introduction and the basic uh, angles are clear to all. Thank you. See you.